Thank you for taking this moment to breathe and to listen to what can change your life forever. My name is Ragna Sinikas. I'm the founder of Starpreneurs TV, How to Dominate the Decades Talks, World Women Conference and Awards, the creator of Core Desk, the coach of the Changemakers, and co-author of the Dominate the Decade book. My mission is to empower through education. And thank you for joining us today. Today, I have an excellent guest from Kuala Lumpur, and I have an honor to talk with Sharesz Wilkinson. She's an international top-level executive communication coach. She is the member of the prestigious invitation-only Forbes Council and the senator for World Business Angels, and also a member of Global Women Leaders Committee, chaired by Swati Manela. So when I read your biography, it's so impressive that I would love for you to share with us. Please share your story. Why are you doing what you're doing? And why are you living in Kuala Lumpur?
That's a good question. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's my honor. I think it's very important that people work together and connect and communicate. So thank you for this platform and for having the possibility to share some insights, ideas, and maybe pointers as well in what might be important for the next coming years. Why do I do what I'm doing? Actually, I have started out many years ago with community work in Rotary, helping to build up structures for education fund, helping communities to get access to resources that they didn't have. And why I've been doing this, I've always been very driven in the sense of giving back. I believe that the more we give back, the more our own opportunities flow. So it's a bit a different way of explaining it. Yet I believe in energy. So whatever you put out there is going to come back to you. And it's not that I do it because I want to have something back. I've just been doing my work on a consistent basis over many years out of passion. And because I really enjoy seeing progress and seeing things advance. And I love, for example, the environment of startups, when people are enthusiastic about an idea and then how do we make this work? I think that's a very interesting phase of a business to be a part of or to support as well. One of the reasons why I'm the World Business Angel Investment Forum as well. So it's a combination of different interests and a life path that has started very early on in that sense. Why am I in Kuala Lumpur? I've been on a world travel many years ago, looking for a place to stay where it's warm, nice weather, where is a cultural multi-diversity that's accepting of different cultures, religions, and people, and an environment where I could thrive in the sense of the business I was doing as well as the cultural environment. And when I came to Malaysia 14 years ago already, we stayed here because the country offered at the time so many opportunities. It was a bit like America in the 80s. So when you put in the work, it would give you a chance. And hence, since then, it has been my basis. I travel a lot internationally, so it's not that I'm always here, but it's definitely my base to come back to. And it's very enjoyable. It has changed tremendously over the last 14 years. And infrastructures have become top notch. When I fly to Europe now or other places in the world, in many things, they're way behind, to be honest. So it's an interesting place to be because the development is very fast, it's profound, and it's very visible and palpable. And I like that. Same as startup environment. Something is moving, you see. Yes.
Wow. And where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Switzerland. And yeah, I've always had a zest for different cultures and environments. and mindsets. So I'm very curious. I'm a very curious person in that sense. Very interested in learning and growing. And I think that's one of the main key factors that kept me going over all the years. And for difficult times as well, I always reinvented myself in the sense of I took a part of my interests and grew that in an environment where it was possible. So this flexibility and open-mindedness, I think, is very important to adapt to changing circumstances as well. It's not always been a bed of roses in that sense, but the curiosity together with the open-mindedness and the willingness to learn and stay humble and keep growing, I think, is one of the key ingredients as well, why I'm doing what I'm doing, as you asked me in the beginning, and why it has brought me so far, because I never had the intention to do all these things, to be honest. It just was like building a house brick by brick by brick, and suddenly it became this big thing, right? It was, in Spanish there is a saying, it says, los caminos se hacen caminando, and it means that the way is done by walking it. And while you walk that way, along the way, there are many doors that are opening, which you don't know in the beginning what it's going to be. So it's a constant process. It's a constant development. I don't know what I'm going to do in 5 years. Maybe it's going to be totally different. I have no idea, but it will always be related to human beings, communication, and psychology, and cultures. That's for sure.
And how did you end up being a communication coach? And maybe people do not even understand what a communication coach does. So can you explain us?
Right. Okay. So I didn't end up being an executive communication coach. I came up to the point where I became an executive communication coach. So as I said before, I was always interested in languages, in different cultures, in people, in psychology, in communication. And a few years back, I was in connection with somebody on LinkedIn over a few years that I had met before at a stand-up comedy show. And it turned out that he was the president and director of the oldest communication company in the US. They're based in Boston, and they have worked with, or they do work, we work with Fortune 100 companies. They have taught in Harvard and MIT. They're highly professionalized in executive communication. What does that mean? Anything that has to do with human interaction. So how to present to stakeholders, shareholders, how to talk on stage, how to give interviews, how to lead team meetings, conflict resolution, troubleshooting, presentation skills. I think I mentioned that already. So all these things that have to do with human interaction, basically. And we do have a scientific approach in how we teach people. So this knowledge is replicable. It doesn't really depend on your character or your persona. We teach the science behind communication. And this is valid for everybody. It's not like it does only apply for one specific type of person and it doesn't apply for the other. It is valid for everyone. And once you know these key factors that are relevant and important, you can adjust your communication style to the situation you're in. Because it's different if you talk to a group of people or in front of 3,000 people, if you give a political interview or if you just have a chat with somebody. So all these different situations require a different communication style, and that's what we're specialized in. It helps normal people in the sense of everyday people, for example, in how to prepare for interviews, how to be more assertive, how to think on their feet, how to present in a way that they have higher buy-ins for their ideas or their projects. It can be applied in many, many different fields and areas.
Wow. I was reading your biography again, and I came along with something that caught my eye, and I got curious. So, and I want to ask that question: how to create big and bold shifts for lifelong success?
How to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I've written a book which is called Obstacle Buster. how to create big and bold shifts for lifelong success. And basically that's the essence of 30 years of life experience in every area of life that I have boiled down to the essence in how can people really change their either lifestyle or their profession or whatever it is if they're not happy with what they have at the moment. I deeply believe that if happy people would be more, the world would be a very different place to be in. So the true happiness and fulfillment comes from clarity. Clarity in where do I want to be, where am I at the moment, and the awareness in how to close that gap. Now, this is not something that somebody just can prop onto you. It has to do a lot with self-awareness, and you have to ask yourself the right questions. Because I am a coach and an executive communication coach, naturally we deal a lot with private topics as well. Because humans are holistic beings. It's not like a car where you just take one part and the other part and fix that together and then it works. We function on many, many different levels, from psychology to interactions to how we structure our day to habits, a lot of different things. And how can we approach this in a way that we can self-coach? So we don't rely on other people constantly to help us, but what questions do we have to ask ourselves in every area of life? Every area of life means business, finance, personal, health, even spiritual in the sense of belief and value system. Not necessarily in terms of religion, but just what are your values? What is your belief system? And is it yours? Or did you take it over from somebody, from your parents, from society? So to create the awareness, what is it that you really want? And then to close that gap and being able to do that yourself. So I wrote that book because I couldn't find one that tells you how to do these things. There's a lot of motivational stuff out there, think positive, do this, do that. But they don't tell you how when the rubber hits the road and life gets really tough. In what are the processes and the steps to take on a consistent basis to actually reach your goal. Most people give up somewhere along the way in the middle because it gets too hard. And it has a lot to do with emotional control. It has a lot to do with the mindset, which goes way beyond affirmation and positive thinking. You have to know how the mind works on a neurological level and how you can influence these processes and guide them in a different direction. So, sorry, that's a lot of...
No, it does make sense. So yes, I'm listening, and I've been very interested in that part as well. And I have actually some mastermind classes, which we are actually starting with that, who you are and what is your life purpose in a sense. So it's very interesting to hear also from your angle. So I need to find the book, so I think add a lot of value to the mastermind as well.
So I apply this a lot in my work with different kinds of people, and it works on a consistent basis. And that's the nice part about it, because I have extensive experience in collaboration with people since youngest age. I started out initially as a teacher for secondary school level. Then I worked with before that, I worked with heavily challenged people as an internship for 1.5 years. I worked with training and development for a while. So I went through all the levels. Coming back to your question, how I became an executive communication coach, I really worked my way up in the sense of different kinds of people, different levels of people, entrepreneurs, startups, businesses, and then it went to multinational companies, up to the executive level. It didn't happen from today to tomorrow. Yeah,
I can imagine that part. Tell us a little more about the Forbes Coaches Council. Maybe there is people like from Europe and Latin America which do not really understand what it is and what is a fuss about it. So what makes it so special?
Well, I don't know if it's so special. It is a platform that allows highly qualified professionals in North America to join up an invitation you have to send them in your details, your resume, your experience, everything else. And then there's a vetting process. They go through your experience, they cross-check if what you say you'll be doing is actually what you have been doing. Yeah, you would be surprised nowadays what's out there. So, and then once you get accepted, it gives you a platform for various things. So first of all, you're in a group of similar like-minded professionals. They do have Forbes Councils Council membership. Sorry, it's very early in the morning here. They have memberships for many different types of professions. So there is one for coaches, there is one for real estate professionals, there's many others as well. And what it does give is an environment where you can grow further. When you reach a certain level on a professional scale, it becomes very difficult to learn from people, because once you create a certain level of expertise, then you hit the ceiling. And where do you find an environment that supports you and makes you grow, and where you have exchange with other people that are like-minded on the same level, becomes very difficult to find. So for me, Forbes has been very beneficial because it gives you an editor's team. So when I write articles or I want to do certain things, they provide me with feedback, with inputs, with knowledge as well, and platforms. So I can reach in my articles or my writings on Forbes.com and it's going to get published, for example. They have other platforms in the sense of training and development. So they do on a regular basis webinars and talks about different insights in the industry. And I've found this very, very valuable. So I'm as well a member of ICF, the International Coaching Federation. But I've noticed that over the years, I've kind of outgrown it in the sense of I don't just do coaching. That's why I call myself strategic advisor. Coaching, if you do pure coaching, is you ask open questions and let the person develop their own insights and inputs and intakes. As a strategic advisor, we don't necessarily do that. If I know the solution to a problem, I will share it with you. And I will tell you exactly the steps in how to get where you want to be. So it shortens the process tremendously. It's a totally different thing from coaching. So it doesn't really mix together. It's like oil and water, oil and vinegar. It doesn't really mix. But it's a good combination of both. So I think for different people, different platforms apply. If somebody feels like they would like to join or they would like to know more about it, just Google it, Forbes Councils. There's a website and you can apply and reach in your details, your information, see what happens. And then if you get accepted, welcome to the club.
That's incredible. Thank you. Thank you for the recommendation. So, and you were nominated for the Eliasson Global Leadership Prize. What can you tell us a little more about what is it, why it's given, and what's the background of this this prize?
The iLab, yeah. This is an organization that was founded by Rotary James Hamilton. He built up entrepreneurs network worldwide, which is called the Entrepreneurs Institute. And he developed a method which he pulled in Genius U. It's an assessment tool in analyzing what type of entrepreneur are you. It helps people to analyze what is their natural given talent as an entrepreneur and how can they find the team members that complement their skills. Many times people think entrepreneurship is something that I just can do. It's not. You need to know a lot of different things, and it's nearby impossible to have all those skills under one hat. So the awareness again and the knowledge in what do I need to look for, what are my own strengths, and what is it that I need to complement has been very detailed, described in his book. What was the title? I forgot, sorry. I forgot because it was written in 2014, it's 6 years ago. It's about your financial level, where you're at, and how you can grow further as an entrepreneur. I can Google it if you want. You can look it up.
Don't worry, we can add the information afterwards when the video is going to be actually released. Then we can add that information, the link, the name there. So and
I found it.
Yeah,
okay.
You found it. Okay, then you're quick.
Okay, so the book is called Wealth Dynamics. Are you still here?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And it has been on the bestseller list 2014 on the New York Times and the Boston Globe, I think. So they have invited me to attend iLab in Bali, which is was 10 days, 2 weeks boot camp for entrepreneurs. And I received the prize there. So I attended as a guest in that sense, participating and sharing my knowledge as well, and being a part of the community. It was a very nice experience. I really enjoyed it.
I can imagine. At least if you wouldn't enjoy anything else, you would enjoy Bali, no?
Right. Very strategic location to do business.
Yeah, exactly. So, and now we go to the traditional question, which is how can you give us 3 recommendations how to dominate decade, in your opinion?
Right. So when I'm looking at the developments in economy and in business at the moment, and what's happening out there in the world, especially now with this situation with COVID-19, it's a trend that has been tremendously accelerated, which has been already there for the last few years, that business and communication will move online. I believe that the entire way we interact, communicate, and work is changing. It's in that sense the next revolution of the industrialization, information age. Now it's the next step. And how to be ready for this? I think it's essential to learn and know about the current trends, what is going on. One of the big things that is coming now is blockchain, artificial intelligence technology. Actually, it's called DARK, which is the 4 big points that I recommend everybody to research and look up and learn about. It's supply chain management, asset protection, human interaction, as well as the workplace will all be tremendously changed by this kind of technologies. Blockchain, many people associate it with cryptocurrencies, but that's just one application. What blockchain does, it puts information on a ledger, which can only be accessed in certain amounts and areas by people who have a key for that specific package. It's registered on a timeline. So whatever comes before you and after you, you cannot change it. You cannot access it. It's a timeless, actually it's very scary in a way as well. It's a timeless registration of everything that's going on. So I give you an example. Blockchain can be applied in many different areas, not just money. For example, in governments, right? What they use it for at the moment is in traffic and traffic control. So they analyze everything that's going on in different junctions. For example, how many people cross there, which cars, what are the violations, but it goes far beyond that. They analyze metrics like speed, any data that you possibly can imagine, and it gets registered and it's there forever. It cannot be changed, cannot be altered. It's not under the control of the government in that sense. It's really something different. And to understand this virtual new world and reality, it takes some time, and it takes some time to get used to as well. I think it's very important to not be fearful of it, although I said it can be scary, but to learn as much as possible about these opportunities. For example, here in Malaysia, just recently, what they did is they put blockchain on university graduation certificates. What that means in detail is people cannot cheat anymore. They cannot buy the diplomas online from some fishy website and say, I graduated from Harvard with a law degree and pay XYZ amount of thousands of dollars for it and cheat on these things. It's impossible. So if university have blockchain on their documentation, it can be accessed from anywhere, anytime, and it can be updated real time. That means if an employer gets a CV from someone and they claim to have attended this and this education at school, there will be a QR code attached to it, and the employer can just scan the QR code. It goes back to the files from the university, shows up the original degree and diploma, and it's there. There's nothing that can be changed, altered, or manipulated in that sense. So that's one way. Transparency will be much, much higher. Mm. The second way is corruption is going to be cut out of the way. The middleman. There is no more middleman in that. That's the very good thing about it. So I like to look at the good applications of these kind of things. Right? So you have two different transactions between two people. There is no more middleman. So people can't cheat on their commissions anymore or on prices or inflate things artificially. It's there, it's registered, and it's accessible. I think it has tremendous impact on everything that we're going to do. I'm not saying people in general cheat, that's not what I mean, but the markets will become much, much more transparent, accessible, and direct. You can see that with Bitcoin, for example, with the blockchain cryptocurrencies, because the banks are out of the game in that sense. On that platform, commissions go down, prices are lower, the currency in that sense went up. It's a demand and supply thing. So I think everything we know is going to change, honestly. The way we interact, the way we communicate, the way we work, the way that commuting is happening now with self-driving cars, which are going to be eventually on blockchain as well. So car accidents will probably be a thing of the past eventually. And people don't drive anymore. There is no more human error, right? Might still happen every now and then, but you see, in production lines, when you have computerized and automated systems in factories, for example, these machines work 24/7 every day. They don't have to sleep, they don't have to eat, they don't need holidays, they don't have sick leave, all these kind of things. In Germany already 80% of factory production is automated. So we're in a tremendous shift. And I believe to keep up with it, the three things are the same that I mentioned at the beginning. Curiosity. Stay curious about what's happening. Don't shut down in fear and think this is too complicated. I don't know anything about it. The way we learn things is step by step by step by step. So you don't have to understand the entire mountain of knowledge. You just chip away spoon by spoon by spoon. And eventually, if you do that every day, just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it gets more and more. Over 1-2 years, you will know a lot about a specific topic, right? So the curiosity is important. The open-mindedness is important. Keeping learning is important as well. Number 2, the second thing I think which is very important is to upgrade your skills. So whatever you know now might be totally obsolete in 5 years from now. Start now learning the new required knowledge to function in future society. If it's related in any way to artificial intelligence, to virtual reality, quantum computing as well, technology, any of these areas and what's related to it will be very relevant. So if you want to get ahead in time and really invest in your progress, I don't say you have to become a programmer or a data analyst. That's not given to everybody, right? But look for things that are related to these topics and relevant. And the number 3 point, I believe, is time is very relevant. So you only can live your own life once, maybe more times, I don't know. But time is really essential. And I believe that it will be more important than ever for people to figure out who they are and what they really want. Because without knowing that, there will be no chance for them of being able to operate and function in this new kind of environment. So self-awareness and psychology plays a huge role as well. And I believe that's one of the reasons why over the last few years we have seen so many things popping up in self-development, in self-improvement, self-awareness, all these things. If you look 10, 15 years back, it was nearly inexistent, right? So this is another huge shift of what's happening at the moment. People become much, much more aware, not just of themselves, but of others as well. And I think that's something very positive. Because once we are aware, we can change things. If you're not aware, we just function like puppets in a play. But once we gain the awareness of what are my skills, what are my qualities, what's my knowledge, and how can I use that in a way that makes me happy? And it's used to my fullest potential. I think then that's when society as well are going to change. So people don't just function like hamsters in the wheel like they used to in factories 150 years ago, right? It will be much more skill driven in that sense, if that makes sense.
It does, and everything what you're mentioning is I think what it's interesting because when you see people, and especially when you see the experts, even though they are experts from very different areas, they all, and that was actually something which I was really curious to see, how the one question is always answered. And there's so much alike in a sense that whoever has really results and whoever has really achieved something, they have the constant things to remind the people that if you want to be successful, if you want to dominate the decade, those are the three things. And obviously, I think you gave a lot of very good examples, which are very different from anyone else who has been spoken before. So I think there's good ideas, and whoever wants to really change their life now, then they don't have the excuse anymore that they were not aware. So thank you very much for.
I would like to give you a short last example to make that more visible. So I've worked with people from a lot of different countries, and I'm on many different platforms. And one of them is as well Facebook and Facebook Messenger, right? That's one way to reach out all over the world. And I just got a message before yesterday from a lady. She's in Uganda. She's a nurse and as well a principal in a primary school. And she wants to become independent and entrepreneur. And we had an exchange on Messenger for free. I do that on a regular basis. When people approach me and ask me for advice, I mentor if it's the right mindset and the person is willing to actually listen, not to do what I'm saying, but at least listen to different kinds of inputs and ideas. And she was saying, okay, I have this problem with fear and I have to overcome the fear and then I'm an entrepreneur. And I said, no, that's not how it works. Fear is one of many, many factors. If you start a business, you have to know about, let's just name a few here out of many, many. Negotiation skills, sales skills, how to deal with people, HR. You have to know marketing. You have to know logistics. law, you have to know how to structure things, you have to be aware of accounting, you have to know so many different things. And people are not aware of it because nowadays everyone thinks like, oh, I can be an entrepreneur. It's a tough journey, right? And I made her aware that if you don't have a budget at all, do not start a business. Because if you have a fixed employment now and you get a salary, beef up on your knowledge first. And then she was very disappointed in the sense of, she said, oh, if I don't have money or only little money means I never can have my own business. I said, no, that's not what I mean. What I mean is you need to get the knowledge first. Look for people who have done what you want to do. Ask them for advice. How did they do it? What were the difficulties and how did they overcome those difficulties? Because 98% of businesses fail within the first 2 years, right? And how someone becomes a good entrepreneur is by starting businesses and failing them and starting again. And this needs a certain amount of resources, no matter in which country and environment you are in. And I told her that nowadays, knowledge, there's no more value to knowledge in the sense of price tag because it's available 24/7 online for free. Ivy League universities offer, I don't know how many courses for free online. You can just Google the knowledge you need, do your research, look up what is needed, and then fill the gaps in what you don't know yet. And it doesn't mean you have to become an expert in every single area, but it means that you can ask informed questions to the people you're going to work with to then build up your business. It's a totally different approach. So instead of running ahead like a blind chicken or a chicken with the head cut off, right? You want to have your things in place so it can grow, right? And I don't know if she got it. I just wrote her that yesterday, but I see that over and over in entrepreneurship. I coach as well startup companies, and not small ones that go for funding rounds in the millions of dollars. And I see this mistake over and over again. They're so excited about their product. They're so excited about what they are doing. That's the biggest idea, the best idea. No one ever has done this. And it's just not true, you know? When you get so engulfed in your own setup and your own idea, it's great because you have a lot of passion. But passion is just one ingredient of maybe 100 others, right? And then be able to take a step back and analyze, again, self-awareness. Where are the gaps? What do I need to learn, or what do I at least have to research and look for is very, very important. And nowadays, to be honest, anyone can do it. Most people have handphones, most. So I've been working with refugees as well. Everyone has a handphone. So they have the knowledge at their fingertips, right? And there's no excuse, as you said, anymore to not learn or not grow. All it needs is the motivation to do so. So in that sense, we live in very unprecedented times. Knowledge used to be guarded, protected, and locked away. And nowadays, it's not anymore about what you know, it's if you know how to apply it. So that's very, very different.
Yes, exactly. So I thank you again for giving those tips to start with. I think we have a lot of entrepreneurs or also people that have lost their jobs and now really thinking what to do with their lives. Should I look for a job? Everybody is looking for a job. Maybe that's not an option really. And I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, how can I start my business? How can I really start to generate income? And I have received a lot of questions like, okay, I want to learn, where do I start? So, and obviously different countries as well, like me being in Mexico, there's different barriers. Like some still do not have electricity at home, some do not have their internet home, some do, but nevertheless, it's interesting to see that even even they don't have those, let's say, for us, the comfort, they are so much more driven to find the ways.
Well, it's
how
survival.
to find the
right?
internet, how to find the so it's incredible, and they find a way to reach out, and they will find a way how to make themselves visible. And then you're like, oh my God, if you compare with someone that has, as you said, everything in the fingertips, they are like, I really need to do the work as well. It didn't help if I just bought the
equipment, right?
The course online. Now I need to learn as well. No.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's always interesting to see. And I think one point which is always important is that being hungry, and being hungry for knowledge, and how to really apply it. So we can learn a lot of things, but if we don't learn exactly how to apply it to our life, it's going to be a very hard way to go. And I have gone that way as well. And actually, my coach was the one who said to me, you're too in love with your business idea, and you don't see the faults in it. So you need to back up. You need to see from the 30 feet up, and make the best decisions that you can, but you're not seeing them because you're too much in love with your idea.
I think for entrepreneurs, free things are really important. Just to mention, don't overinvest in your infrastructure. You don't need the latest technology, equipment, and the most expensive things to get started. You really don't. If you have a phone and a simple speaker like this, it's enough, for a start. If you want to do something online. The second thing is, look what people want. So it's not about how brilliant and great your idea is. If nobody is interested in it, then you don't have a business, right? So what is it truly that people need and want right now? And it might be something that you're not specialized in, but something that you could do, right? And I'm thinking about the teenagers doing dropshipping and things like that, right? So they're very flexible in terms of what can be done and how they can do it. They just learn how to do it. It's not necessarily their peak interest. Maybe they like football more. I'm just making this up, right? But they figure out, how do I earn the quickest, the biggest amount? Invest in things that make you money. Do not, especially in these times, do not invest heavily in things that cost a lot of money. Be it infrastructure, courses, training, whatever. A lot of things, again, it's free, available online. And if you go on reputable platforms that don't sell you get-rich-quick schemes, you will find a lot of information and training and courses and knowledge, and you a penny for these things, right? So before you invest heavily in all this, I call them happy clappy seminars, right? Really do your research online first. It takes maybe half an hour. And that time you invest in finding out first what is really relevant and needed. Saves you a lot of headache, time, and hassle down the line.
Indeed. When people want to contact you, how they can do so?
They can go on my website. It's stwilkinson. They will have the informations there with email and everything else available.
Can you repeat one more time? Maybe someone wants to put it down.
It's ST for Singapore, Thailand, then Wilkinson, like the blade, .com. stwilkinson.com.
Okay. Thank you.
And if they Google my name, they will find a lot of different links and information and social media, etc. So any platform that works for them is fine.
Perfect. So I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody who are watching now. So today, I really hope that you had your, like I did, and you made some notes, because there was a lot of nuggets which you can actually use. There was a lot of valuable information that if you are considering becoming an entrepreneur, if you are already in a entrepreneur but you feel stuck, then I think there was a lot of good ideas that can help you to get unstuck. And obviously, if you don't know how to do it, then you already know how to contact Sharesz as well. So, as I always say, first, nothing comes without work. And if you don't take action now, nothing will work. So be the hero in your life and start to work. If you heard something that can help someone, if it's your neighbor, your friend, your cousin who is considering becoming an entrepreneur, then share this video with her or him, because that might, one, save a lot of money for that person, or it can help that person to really find the correct way to do it. And obviously, you can be the change maker of his or her lives. I will see you, as today is Friday, I will see you on Monday. And from Monday to Friday, every day at the same time, I will see you here with different specialists like we had today from Kuala Lumpur. And I hope that you really enjoyed. I hope it was valuable for you. And I hope you will invite more people to watch us. Then I will give the last words to Sharesz.
Well, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm a very approachable person, and send me a message over Facebook Messenger, Instagram, LinkedIn, any platform that works, over the website, and I will come back to you for sure.
Thank you very much. See you already in our next episode.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.